So hearty. It happened on a Sunday at my brother's birthday party on the same porch where I learned to walk barefoot through gravel and silence. I was 32, a software engineer, and the only one in my family who had ever bought her own home without a dime of help. That day, I came bearing a gift wrapped in gold paper and a heart cracked wide open from years of trying to be enough. The backyard was packed, relatives, neighbors, people who had ignored me for decades, but now smiled as if I belonged. My parents greeted me with tight smiles, Logan with a hug that felt like a loaded question. I should have known. Halfway through the party, I was pulled aside by my parents and brother. There was a discussion waiting, one I never agreed to. They wanted my condo. No, not wanted, expected. They said Logan needed a fresh start after his third business failed, that his kids deserved a better school district, that my place had an extra bedroom I did not use. I blinked thinking it was a joke. But they had documents. They had a plan. They had already contacted a real estate agent behind my back. I said no. I said it calmly, directly. I even smiled. And in that moment, something inside Logan snapped. He grabbed the bottle of champagne meant for the toast, shouted something about selfish women and what family means, and slammed it against the side of my head. There was no time to scream. Only the sound of glass shattering, gasps, the sting of blood in my eye. I collapsed onto the concrete gift box, tumbling from my arms as the world tilted and dimmed. Someone shouted my name. Someone else called 911. But in that moment, I was not afraid. I was wide awake. Because when your own brother breaks your skull to steal your future, you learn exactly who you are. The hospital lights hummed above me too, white, too sterile, too calm for what had just happened. 12 stitches above my eyebrow. A mild concussion. A nurse with gentle hands whispered, "You're lucky he did not blind you." But I did not feel lucky. I felt betrayed again. My parents never came. Logan had been taken in for questioning, but was already released by the time I was discharged. They said it was a family misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. He cracked my skull. I sat in my car outside the emergency room, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only solid thing left. That was when the rage settled into my bones, not like a fire, but like ice. Cold, heavy, permanent. I did not go home. I drove to a hotel 3 miles from the hospital and stared at the ceiling for 2 nights, phone on silent, mind spinning. And when I finally picked it up, it was not to call my family. It was to call my lawyer. What I discovered next will make your blood boil. My condo, the one I had saved for, bought, and maintained on my own, it was not just a target, it was a trap. Logan had forged my signature on documents filed with a real estate broker. The agent admitted on record that Logan claimed I was in recovery and unable to make sound decisions, a smear designed to invalidate my rights and transfer control to him and my parents. That was not all. My name had been fraudulently added to a business loan of $50,000. I never applied for it. I had no idea until the collections started calling. At that moment, I realized this was never just a moment of violence. It was a premeditated campaign. My success, my stability, it was something they believed they were owed. And they were not going to stop until they took everything. If you have ever had your own family try to destroy you out of jealousy, say yes in the comments, and subscribe for the rest of this story, because it only gets more unbelievable from here. I made one decision that changed everything. I stopped being polite. I stopped waiting for justice to find me. I picked up the phone. And this time, I was not just calling a lawyer. I was building a case. The first thing my lawyer said was, "This goes deeper than we thought." She had reviewed the forged real estate paperwork, cross-checked my signature with legal documents I had filed years ago, and confirmed beyond any doubt it was fraud. But that was only the beginning. As she dug through property databases and bank filings, a pattern emerged. This was not the first time my brother had pulled something like this. Logan had a trail of failed businesses and conveniently erased co-signers. Women. Always women. His ex-girlfriend. His ex-wife. Even a former co-worker. All of them left with bruised credit and unpaid debt while he moved on like a ghost. This time he had aimed higher. He wanted my home, my credit, and eventually my silence. But I was not going to be silent. I filed a restraining order the same day we submitted evidence to the police. I expected panic, maybe apologies. What I got instead was venom. My mother showed up at my doorstep not to say sorry, but to scream. "You are tearing this family apart," she shouted. "Logan has nothing. You have everything." My own mother standing on the welcome mat of the home I bought with overtime and sacrifice defending a son who tried to crush my skull. It was not grief. It was envy. She saw me not as a daughter, but as a resource. A wallet with a pulse. A week later, someone keyed my car. Then, the death threats started. Anonymous notes left on my doorstep. "This is what you get for turning on your blood." My lawyer suggested I move. I did not. I installed security cameras, changed the locks, and kept every message, every voicemail, every threat. Because now I was not just building a case, I was building a wall between me and the people who believed they had a right to my life. This was no longer about the condo. It was about the principle. If they could do this to me, a financially stable woman with legal support, how many others had they destroyed without consequence? I was not backing down. I had one mission now: make sure they never did this to another woman again. Not under my name. Not under my roof. Not ever. The day of the court hearing felt colder than it should have been for early spring. I wore navy slacks and a blazer that made me feel armored, not dressed. My lawyer advised I keep my voice steady and my emotions tighter than a sealed vault. Across the courtroom, Logan sat with that smug expression I had seen since childhood, the one he wore when he got away with breaking something that was not his. My parents were there too. They did not look at me, not once. The judge read the evidence with a raised brow. Forged signatures, unauthorized access to my financial records, altered documents filed with the county assessor. My lawyer laid it out clearly, professionally. When it was my turn to speak, I stood with knees locked and voice calm. "Your Honor, my brother did not just try to take my condo. He tried to erase my identity to claim what he felt entitled to. This was not desperation. This was deliberate. Logan's attorney tried to spin it, of course. Said I was exaggerating, that Logan was struggling, that families should help each other. The audacity made my stomach twist. Help each other. I had done nothing but help my whole life. Birthday loans, groceries, helping them fix their leaking roof. And now they wanted to paint me as cruel for drawing a line. The judge did not rule that day, but outside the courtroom, the real betrayal waited for me. My father walked right past me, his words low and sharp. "You could have just given it to him. Family is more important than property." I could not speak. My throat closed up with something bitter and final. I realized then they never loved me for who I was, only for what I could give. So I made a new plan. Not just legal, but personal. I listed the family home for sale. The one my name was still tied to the one they all clung to like it gave them power. I priced it to move fast. And when the papers were signed, I sent one final notice to my parents and brother. "You wanted what was mine. Fine. I will show you what it means to lose something you never valued until it is gone." The news hit harder than I expected. The moment the family home was listed as sold, my inbox exploded. My mother sent a single message: "You are heartless." My father followed with one word: disowned. Logan, he posted online that I had ruined our family legacy, painting himself the victim, while conveniently omitting the part where he nearly stole my home and fractured my skull. Strangers offered him sympathy, neighbors whispered, but no one asked for my side. No one cared to hear what led me to finally burn the bridge they had been lighting matches under for years. I should have felt free. Instead, I felt raw. Not because I regretted my decision, but because it was proof. Proof that I had never been seen as a daughter, a sister, or a person. Just as a bank account they could guilt trip, manipulate, and bleed dry. For a while, the silence after the sale felt like standing in the middle of an empty room where a fight had once happened. Echoes everywhere, peace nowhere. But peace began to grow in the small, quiet things. I started hosting Sunday dinners for the friends who showed up when things got ugly, people who saw me as more than what I could give. My neighbor Karen brought over homemade bread every weekend. One night, she asked how I was holding up. I answered honestly, better than I've ever been. And then came the letter. It was handwritten in my mother's slanted cursive and postmarked from a town 2 states away. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. It was not an apology. It was a warning. "Logan is going to try again," she wrote. "He's desperate. You should watch your back." The audacity. After choosing him over me, defending him, accusing me, they wanted me to stay afraid, to stay quiet alone, obedient. No, not anymore. This time, I would not just defend what was mine, I would expose what was theirs. Every scheme, every lie, every secret they buried under the excuse of blood. Because revenge, when born from justice, is not about destruction. It is about clarity. And I was ready to bring all of it into the light where it belonged. The trap was not elaborate. It did not need to be. I simply stopped hiding. I returned to my condo, the very one Logan had tried to take from me, and installed cameras inside, outside, even in the hallway. I knew he would come. Desperate people always do when they think no one is watching. I made sure I was seen living my life, groceries delivered, lights on, music playing. From the outside, I was predictable, vulnerable, alone. It took 3 nights. He broke in through the fire escape dressed in black gloves, on crowbar in hand. What he did not realize was that the police were already watching. I had reported the letter, shared the past, showed them the pattern. When they arrested him, he was screaming my name like I had betrayed him. But this time everyone heard. And everyone saw. The footage made it to the local news. Attempted break-in by man previously accused of real estate fraud and domestic violence against sibling. That headline traveled faster than I could have imagined. Old family friends who had ghosted me sent apologies. Distant cousins offered support. But none of it mattered. What mattered was the courtroom again. Only this time I was not the one defending. I was standing tall as the prosecution laid it all out: the forged signatures, the violent assault, the attempted second offense. Every lie he spun now lay unraveling on the record. And my parents, they did not show. Not a call, not a letter. They had always picked their side, and now that side had crumbled. When the sentence came, 18 months plus probation, I felt no joy, just relief. Not because I needed revenge, but because I needed it to end. I walked home that day under clear skies, my shoulders not just lighter, but unburdened for the first time in years. The next morning, I did something I had not done since before this all began. I planted flowers outside my condo window. Marigolds, red and gold, like little flags of resilience. Because healing, real healing, is not loud. It is quiet and deliberate, and yours alone. And it does not need approval from anyone who never protected you in the first place. It has been almost a year since Logan went to prison. I have not heard from my parents. Not once. No surprise there. But silence, I have learned, can be sacred when it means freedom. The condo is still mine, legally, emotionally, spiritually. Every creak of the floor, every morning, coffee by the window, every breeze that moves the curtains, feels like a promise I kept to myself. A life I built from wreckage. Sometimes I wonder what they tell people now. Do they say I turned on them? That I broke the family, let them? They never understood that families are not defined by shared blood, but by shared integrity. I have found more love in the kindness of strangers and neighbors than I ever did at our holiday table. And that is the hardest part, really, mourning people who are still alive, but never truly saw you. But I see myself now. Every scar has a story, and every story has a lesson. Mine is simple: do not apologize for surviving. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. And never hand the keys of your life to people who only knock when they need something. I still keep the broken champagne bottle in a box. Not as a memory of fear, but as proof that even in my most fragile moment, I did not break. I bent. I bled. But I stood back up. And that is something no one can take from me. If this story resonated with you, if you have ever been the black sheep, the scapegoat, the quiet fighter, I want to hear from you. Comment yes if you believe family should be earned, not imposed. And do not forget to subscribe for more stories of truth, strength, and healing. Your voice matters. You are not alone. How?